The evening drags on slowly in the hotel restaurant. Sarah straightens her apron and checks her watch. 3 hours remain until her shift ends. She stands behind the bar, waiting for new customers to arrive. The room is quiet. Subdued music plays. Couples are seated at two tables, and a man with a laptop sits at one. The shift began normally. She arrived at 4, changed, and pulled her hair back into a bun. Before work, she drank coffee in the back room. She's 23 years old. She's a part-time student and has been working here for almost 2 years. The job is simple. Take orders, bring food, clear dishes, and smile. Tips are rare. Those who stay at the hotel tend to save money. The restaurant door opens at 8 o'clock. Sarah looks up and sees a man. He enters alone. He's wearing a dark suit, a white shirt, and no jewelry. An ordinary guest, some might think, but Sarah has been working here for a long time and is used to noticing details. He doesn't look around. He doesn't adjust his clothes. He doesn't look at his phone. He simply stands at the entrance and waits. His face is calm, emotionless. His features are Asian. His age is difficult to determine. Maybe 28, maybe 32. The hostess approaches him and leads him to a table by the window. He sits down facing the entrance. Sarah knows this is how those who are used to controlling the space sit. Military personnel, police officers, or those with reasons to be cautious. The hostess waves to Sarah. Sarah takes the notebook and walks over to the table. "Good evening," she says with her usual smile. "What would you like?" The man looks up at her. He looks calmly, without curiosity. He simply fixes his gaze. "Tea," he says. "Black, no sugar. Anything else? We have a hot dish and salads. Can I offer—" "Just tea." Sarah nods and heads to the kitchen. It's a strange order, she thinks. People come to a restaurant to eat, not to drink tea. But she doesn't ask questions. Her job is to bring what they ask for. 5 minutes later, she returns with a teapot, a cup, and a saucer of free cookies. She places everything on the table. "Have a nice evening," she says. The man nods. He doesn't even look at her. Sarah moves to another table, but she watches out of the corner of her eye. It's a habit. She keeps an eye on her tables, making sure to clear them or refill their water promptly. The man sits motionless. He doesn't touch his tea. He doesn't look out the window. He doesn't scroll through his phone. He just sits and stares straight ahead. 5 minutes pass. 10. The tea grows cold. He still hasn't taken a sip. No one approaches him. He doesn't meet with anyone. He just sits alone at a table and remains silent. Strange, Sarah thinks. But she turns away and attends to the other guests. Another half-hour passes. The man raises his hand, beckoning her. Sarah approaches. "Can I get the bill?" he asks. "Of course. Tea is on the house," she says. It's the restaurant's rule. If a guest only orders a drink and doesn't eat anything, the tea or coffee is free. He takes a black card out of his pocket and places it on the table. "I'll pay." Sarah takes the card and goes to the terminal. She makes a payment. The amount is paltry, just a formality. She returns with the receipt and the card. "Thank you, come again," she says automatically. The man stands up, takes the card, and heads for the exit. He doesn't even look at the table. The tea still sits untouched. The cookies are still in the saucer. Sarah watches his back. He walks slowly, evenly, toward the door. And then she looks at the table. No money. Zero. Empty. She can't believe her eyes. She's been working here for 2 years. Even if a guest pays by card, it's customary to leave change or a couple of dollars extra. It's good manners. The tea is free, but he wanted to pay by card. Fine. But leaving zero? He is already reaching the door. And Sarah speaks. Quietly, not intentionally, just thinking out loud. She was tired. Her legs ached. Her shift was ending. And this man, in an expensive suit, who had sat over an empty cup for half an hour, hadn't left a cent. "So rich and stingy with $10, she says under her breath. She doesn't even think he'll hear. The distance to the door is about 10 meters. The music is playing, but he stops abruptly. Sarah freezes. The restaurant becomes quiet. The music is still playing, but it seems to Sarah that the sound has disappeared. She watches as the man slowly turns, very slowly, as if giving her time to run, hide, apologize. She doesn't run away. Her feet seem to be rooted to the floor. He looks at her from across the room. His face is still calm. No anger, no surprise. He just looks. Then he goes back. Footsteps sound loud in the silence. Other guests look up. Waiters pause at the bar. Everyone senses that something unusual is happening. The man approaches her table. The same one he was sitting at. He stops in front of her. Between them is only a table with cold tea. Sarah looks up at him. She's not short, but she feels like a child next to him. "What did you say?" he asks. The voice is even, calm. No threat in the intonation, just a question. Sarah is silent. Her tongue won't obey her. "I heard," he continues. "You said I was stingy with $10. She wants to apologize. She wants to say that it slipped out, that she didn't mean it, that she's very sorry, but the words won't come. He takes out his phone. He looks at the screen, types something with one finger. Then he puts the phone back in his pocket. Sarah thinks she's about to be fired. He'll call the manager, complain, and she'll be fired. She imagines looking for a new job, explaining to the university why she left. But he doesn't call the manager. "Wait here," he says, and heads for the exit again. Sarah stands rooted to the spot. She watches his back. He walks out into the street. A quiet murmur erupts in the room. A girl at the next table whispers to her boyfriend, "What was that?" The bartender looks at Sarah questioningly. She just shrugs. A minute passes. 2, 5. Maybe he left? Maybe he just wanted to scare her and left? No. The door opens. Black are following him. They're carrying 2 large silver suitcases. Sarah had only seen suitcases like that in movies. Huge, shiny, with metal corners. The men in black place the suitcases on the floor next to the table. One of them places his hand on the lid, waiting for the command. The man in the suit nods. Click, the locks open simultaneously. 2 men lift the lids. Sarah looks inside and stops breathing. There's money in the suitcases. Not wads, not stacks. Just neat, tightly packed rows. The bills are new, crisp, tied with bank ribbons. In one suitcase, they lie in neat stacks. In the second, the same thing. How much is there? She doesn't know. 1 million? 2? 5? She's never seen so much money in one place. Even in movies it looks different. In movies, it's a prop, but here it's real. The man in the suit steps forward. He gestures at the suitcases, then at Sarah. "Take it," he says. She looks at him, not understanding. "What? You said I was greedy. I'm leaving a tip." Sarah shakes her head. This can't be true. It's a prank. A hidden camera. They're playing a prank on her for some kind of show. She looks around, looking for the cameramen. Nobody. 2 men in black stand stony-faced. The other restaurant guests are frozen. One of them has his mouth open. The bartender has stopped wiping glasses and simply watches. The man in the suit is waiting. He's not rushing her. He just stands and looks at her. "I can't take this," Sarah whispers. "Can. This is too much. You said the price yourself, $10, and I'm paying for your courage. Rarely does anyone tell me the truth to my face." He says this calmly, without a smile, as if stating a fact. Sarah looks at the money, then at him, then at the money again. Her head is empty. Not a single thought, only white noise. She begins. "Time flies," he interrupts. "I'm a busy man. Decide." Sarah takes a step towards the suitcases. She reaches out and touches the cool metal. It's real. The suitcase is real. She grabs the handle with one hand and pulls it toward her. Nothing. She pulls harder. The suitcase doesn't even budge. It's as if it's glued to the floor. Sarah blushes. She grabs it with both hands, places her foot on the floor, and pulls with all her might. The suitcase slowly gives way, inch by inch. She moves it a few centimeters. But lifting it? That's impossible. There's probably 50 kilograms inside, maybe more. She lets go of the handle and straightens up. She breathes heavily. She looks at the man. He watches her with mild interest, like a scientist conducting an experiment. "Heavy," she says stupidly. "Yes," he agrees. "Gold is heavy, and paper is light. But there's a lot of paper here." She looks at her hands. Her palms are red from trying to move the suitcase. "I can't carry this," she says. "These are your problems." Pause. "But I'll give you some advice," he adds. "Hire a car. Or people. Or both." He looks at her for another second. Then he nods to his men. They close the suitcases. Sarah thinks they're going to take the money back. But no. The men in black step aside and stand against the wall, arms crossed over their chests. And the man in the suit turns around and walks towards the exit. "Wait!" Sarah shouts. He doesn't turn around. "What is your name?" He stops at the door. Without turning his head, he says, "Kane," and goes out into the street. Sarah is standing in the middle of the restaurant. 2 silver suitcases stand next to her. 2 men in black stand against the wall. Everyone is looking at her. She looks at the suitcases. There are millions inside. Inside is her whole life, which has just been turned upside down. Inside is something she couldn't even dream of, but now she needs to decide what to do. The manager approaches, an elderly man with tired eyes. He's been working here for 15 years and probably thought nothing could surprise him anymore. Sarah, he says quietly, what's going on? She turns to him. A thought strikes her. She realizes she can't stay here. She can't keep working. She can't carry food to people who tip $2 when she has 2 suitcases of cash at her feet. I'm quitting, she says. The manager blinks. Now? Now. She takes off her apron and places it on the nearest table. She takes her name badge out of her pocket and places it on top. Write your resignation, the manager says out of habit. According to the rules, you have to work for 2 weeks. Sarah looks at him, then at the suitcases. I can't work for 2 weeks. The manager follows her gaze. It dawns on him. Yes, I understand. Sarah approaches the men in black. Can you help me carry this outside? They exchange glances. Then one nods. Our boss told us to give them to you. We'll help. They pick up their suitcases. Each one takes one. It's heavy for them, but they don't show it. They head for the exit. Sarah follows them. At the door, she turns around. The entire restaurant is staring at her. The girl at the table has pulled out her phone and is filming. The bartender stands there with his mouth open. The manager is holding her apron in his hands, as if he doesn't know what to do with it. Sarah goes outside. 3 weeks pass. Sarah is sitting in a new cafe in the city center. She's wearing the light suit she bought yesterday. Her hair is down and styled differently. On her wrist is a watch she never even dreamed of owning before. There's a cup of coffee in front of her, a regular Americano, but now she can afford to drink it here, where the cup costs as much as 3 of her lunches in a past life. She still doesn't believe it. The first night after that incident, she didn't sleep. She sat in her cheap rented apartment and stared at her suitcases. She opened them, closed them, touched the money. She thought it was a dream. On the second day, she called a friend who knows about such things. He came, looked, and said everything was clear. The money was real. No bugs, no markings. On the third day, she rented a new apartment. She paid for a year in advance, simply because she could. For the fourth, she bought new clothes. Not the most expensive ones, she was afraid of overdoing it, but good quality, nice ones. She officially resigned from the restaurant the next day. The manager signed her resignation without question. Colleagues called, wrote, and asked what had happened. She didn't respond. She put the money in the bank, opened several accounts, left some in cash, just to feel the difference. Now she lives in a different reality. No need to wake up at 6 in the morning. No need to smile at rude customers. No need to have aching feet after a 12-hour shift. But the strange feeling doesn't go away. She thinks about him often. About Mr. Kane. Who is he? Why did he do it? Why? Sometimes she wakes up at night and thinks it was a mistake, that he'll come back and take the money, that this is some kind of game whose rules she doesn't know. But the days go by and nothing happens. Today, she decided to go shopping. Real, expensive stores, places she used to be afraid to go to. She finishes her coffee, pays, and goes outside. The sun is shining brightly. She's in a good mood. The whole day lies ahead, and she can do whatever she wants. Sarah walks into a boutique on the main street. The boutique smells of expensive perfume and fresh air conditioner. Sarah walks down the aisles, examining the clothes. Everything hangs neatly on hangers bearing the store's logo. The salespeople move quietly, like shadows. No one looks at Sarah askance. She looks different now, not like that waitress from the restaurant. She takes a few things and goes to the fitting room. The cubicle is spacious, with a large mirror and a soft ottoman. Sarah tries on the dress. It fits perfectly. It's dark blue, just above the knee, and has a simple yet elegant cut. She twirls in front of the mirror, examining herself. She likes it. She leaves the fitting room to examine the fabric in the light. She approaches the large mirror in the hall, turns, and looks at her reflection, and freezes. In the mirror behind her, he stands. Mr. Can. She recognizes him immediately. The same dark suit, the same calm face. He stands at the entrance to the boutique and looks at her. Sarah turns around abruptly. He doesn't move. He just stands there and stares. There's no surprise in his gaze. As if he knew he'd meet her here. As if it wasn't a coincidence. Sarah's heart is pounding somewhere in her throat. She wants to say something, but she can't. It's too unexpected. He looks at her. Just looks. 2 seconds. 5. 10. She stands in a new dress, barefoot. Her shoes were left in fitting room, and feels just as awkward as he did that evening in the restaurant. Mr. Khan's gaze moves from her face to her dress, then back to her face. He nods slightly, once, briefly, and it turns around. He walks toward the boutique's exit as calmly as he did back then, toward the restaurant's exit, measured, unhurried. His back disappears behind the glass door. Sarah stands rooted to the spot. She looks at the door he left through. She looks until the salesman approaches her. "Do you like the dress?" the girl asks with a professional smile. "It suits you very well." Sarah turns a blank gaze on her. "What? Oh, yes, yes. I like it. Will you take it?" Sarah looks at the door again. He's gone. "Wait a minute," she says. "I'll be right there." She returns to the fitting room. She sits down on the ottoman. Her legs are wobbly. What was that? Is he following her? Is it a coincidence? Why didn't he say anything? Questions swarm in her head like disturbed bees. She tries to breathe evenly. After 5 minutes, she calms down. She needs to pull herself together. It was just a coincidence. The city is big, but not that big. People meet. She decides to buy the dress anyway. It's really beautiful. Sarah emerges from the fitting room, holding the dress she's decided to buy. She approaches the checkout. The salesperson starts scanning the items, telling her something about the fabric and its composition. Sarah isn't listening. She's still thinking about him. "Payment by card?" the seller asks. "Yes?" Sarah takes out her card, swipes it across the terminal, and enters her PIN. Everything is mechanical. The salesperson wraps the dress in a large bag with ribbons. Sarah takes it and gets ready to leave. And then she smells something. Faint, barely perceptible, but distinct. A masculine perfume. Woody notes. Something fresh and heavy at the same time. This smell hangs in the air near the checkout. Sarah understands. It's his scent. He was standing here when she was in the fitting room. Maybe paying for something. Maybe he was just passing by. The scent is so distinct that for a second, she thinks he's still there. She looks around. No one. "Miss, are you okay?" the salesperson asks. "Yes, thank you," Sarah replies. She walks out of the boutique onto the street. The sun is shining just as brightly. People are walking back and forth. Cars are driving by. An ordinary day, but Sarah can smell it even when she's already far away. Or so she imagines. She stops in the middle of the sidewalk. People walk around her, some muttering discontentedly. She pays no attention. The thought strikes me. This is no coincidence. He knew she would be here. He came to see her. Why? She remembers his brief nod. What did he mean? That the dress suits her? That he remembers her? That she's still part of some game of his? Sarah clutches the bag with the dress and goes home. She needs to think. She needs to understand what's going on. But a strange feeling is already brewing inside. Not fear, not anxiety, something else. Curiosity mixed with anticipation. She knows that this is not their last meeting. Sarah returns to her new apartment after meeting at the boutique. She hangs her dress in the closet, takes a shower, and tries to calm down. But her thoughts return to him again and again. Why did he come? Why didn't he say anything? What does that nod mean? In the evening, she orders takeout. She watches TV and scrolls through her phone. A typical evening. It's already late, around 11. The intercom is ringing. Sarah answers the phone. "Miss Sarah?" says the concierge's voice. "Sorry for calling late. They left you an envelope." "Who?" she asks. "I don't know. The young man said to hand it over personally." Sarah hesitates. Maybe she shouldn't open it, but curiosity gets the better of her. "Okay, I'll come down." She puts on jeans and a t-shirt and goes down to the lobby. The concierge hands her a thick white envelope. There's nothing written on it. Sarah goes up to the apartment. She sits down on the sofa. She looks at the envelope for a long time. Then she opens it. There are 2 items inside. The first is an invitation. On thick embossed paper, the text reads, "A private dinner at a country house." The address is listed. The date is the day after tomorrow. At the bottom, a handwritten note reads, "Unaccompanied." The second is a business card. Simple, no pictures, just the name, Khan, and the phone number. Sarah sits and looks at these 2 things. Her heart beats faster. He found her. Of course he found her. He knows where she lives. He knows which boutique she goes to. He knows everything. It's scary, but somehow it doesn't repel me. She goes to bed, but can't fall asleep for a long time. Thoughts are spinning in her head. Should she go or not? 2 days pass. Sarah carries the business card in her purse. She takes it out, looks at it, puts it back. She doesn't know what to do. Part of her says, "This is dangerous. You don't know anything about this man. He appears out of nowhere, leaves suitcases full of money, disappears, then reappears. Who is he? What does he do?" The other part says, "What do you have to lose? You have the money. Your life has changed. If he wanted to hurt you, he would have already. Just go and find out." She consults with a friend on the phone. The friend says, "Are you crazy? Don't go. It's dangerous." Sarah is not listening. That evening before dinner, she takes out her phone. She dials the number from her business card. A long beep, then a soft click. "I'm listening," his voice says. Sarah is speechless for a second. "This is Sarah," she says finally. "I received an invitation." Pause. "I know," he replies. "I will come." A short pause. "I am waiting." And the call ends. Sarah looks at her phone. No, thank you. No, see you later. No, good to hear from you. Just waiting. She doesn't know whether to be angry or smile. The next evening, Sarah calls a taxi. She's dressed simply but elegantly. Dark trousers, a light blouse, and low-heeled shoes. Her hair is styled. Her bag contains only her phone, keys, and a business card, just in case. The taxi takes a long time. First through the city, then along the highway, then along a narrow road that leads into the forest. It's getting dark outside. There are almost no streetlights. The driver glances at her in the mirror. "Really here?" he asks. "There's nothing here." "Exactly," Sarah answers. She's already having doubts herself. The road is getting worse. There are only trees around. No houses, no cars. But then lights appear ahead. The taxi pulls up to a tall wrought iron gate. It takes up the entire space between the stone pillars. Above are cameras, several of them, from different angles. The gates don't open. Sarah gets out of the taxi. The driver is waiting. She goes to a small panel on the side. There's a button and a speaker there. She presses it. Silence. Then a click. "State your name," says the emotionless voice. "Sarah." A pause. Then the gates begin to move. Silently, slowly, they open inward. Sarah turns to the taxi driver. "I'll do it myself from now on," she says. The driver looks at her strangely, but he doesn't dare argue. He turns around and drives away. Sarah is left alone in front of the open gate. Beyond it lies a long road leading to the house. The lights are on, but there are no people in sight. She takes a step, then another. The gate closes behind her. The house is big, very big. Sarah walks along a small gravel path. Trimmed bushes line the ground to the left and right. It's quiet. Only her footsteps crunch. A man in a formal suit greets her at the entrance. Not the one from the restaurant. Different. He nods silently and opens the door for her. The interior smells of wood and expensive perfume. The hallway is huge, with a high ceiling. A staircase leads to the second floor. Several doors. The man leads her down the corridor. They pass a room from which voices can be heard. Then they enter a large hall. There are already people there. Sarah has about 10 people, men and women. Everyone is dressed expensively, but subtly. No bright colors, no flashy jewelry, fabrics that look expensive, even if they don't have labels. They sit at a long table covered with a white tablecloth. They speak quietly. When Sarah enters, the conversation dies down. All heads turn towards her. Sarah feels awkward. 10 pairs of eyes are looking at her, studying, judging. She looks around for Khan. He sits at the head of the table. The same dark suit, the same calm face. He looks at her, but does not stand, does not greet her. The man who brought Sarah points to a chair, next to Khan. On the left side, Sarah sits down. Silence hangs in the air for a few more seconds. Then Khan nods slightly, and the conversation resumes. But Sarah feels the eyes continue to turn on her. Dinner is about to begin. Waiters in white gloves carry the dishes. Everything looks beautiful, but Sarah barely touches her food. She's too tense. Khan doesn't talk to her, not a word at all. But she notices something else. When her water glass is half empty, the waiter appears and refills it. When she pushes away her salad plate, almost untouched, a hot dish is placed in its place. Someone invisible watches over her and fulfills all her wishes, even those she hasn't expressed. Sarah understands. It's him. Khan gives orders without words. With a glance, a nod, a flick of the finger. She looks at the other guests. They are talking among themselves, discussing business, prices, deliveries. Some are talking about construction, others about transportation. The usual business talk, but the atmosphere is strange. Everyone speaks quietly. No one raises their voice. No one laughs loudly. No one interrupts each other. It's as if they're afraid to break the silence. Occasionally, someone glances at Khan, checking if he's listening. If he's listening to what's being said, Khan sits motionless. He eats little. Occasionally, he asks short questions. He listens attentively to the answers. Then he falls silent again. Sarah sits next to him and feels left out. Why did he invite her? Just to sit next to him and ignore her? She's angry, but she doesn't show it. Dinner lasts a long time. The guests eat, drink wine, and talk. No one engages Sarah in conversation. They just look at her, study her. By mid-evening, she feels stuffy, not from the temperature, but from the atmosphere. She quietly gets up and goes out onto the terrace through the glass door. It's chilly outside. The air smells of forest and dampness. Sarah breathes deeply. There are no stars in sight. The sky is overcast. She stands by the railing, staring into the darkness. She wonders why she's here. She wants to leave, but how? She can't call a taxi. The gates are locked. He hears footsteps behind him. She knows who it is before she even turns around. Can comes over and stands next to me. He also looks into the darkness. Silent. Sarah waits. She doesn't intend to initiate the conversation. The silence lasts for a minute. Two. Then he says, "You weren't scared." Sarah turns to him. "What?" "Everything. Money. Invitation. This house. Me." She looks at his profile. He doesn't look at her, but speaks, looking ahead. "Should it have?" A short pause. "Many are afraid. This is rare." He turns to face her. For a second, their gazes meet. In the darkness, his eyes seem black. Then he turns around and goes back into the house. Sarah is left alone on the terrace. The wind is blowing stronger. She stands there, confused about what just happened. Sarah wakes up to a bright light. The sun shines through the window. She squints, rolls over, and suddenly freezes. This is not her room. She sits up abruptly, looks around. Her bedroom, her furniture, her things on the chair. She's at home. How? Sarah tries to remember. The terrace, the conversation, then emptiness. She doesn't remember leaving that house, driving back, or going to bed. Her head was heavy, but she hadn't drunk any alcohol. None at all. Only water. She rubs her face with her hands, trying to collect her thoughts. Then he notices a piece of paper on the nightstand. A white square sheet of paper. On it is a phone number, written in her handwriting. She recognizes her numbers, her slant of the letters. Sarah takes the piece of paper. She looks at it. It's definitely her handwriting, but she doesn't remember writing it. Whose number is this? She holds the piece of paper up to her eyes. The numbers are unfamiliar. And then it dawns on her. It's his number. She wrote it down herself. But when? Why? Maybe he gave her the business card and she copied it down? But the card is in her bag. She checks. It's there. Sarah sits on the bed and looks at the piece of paper. It feels strange, as if she's lost a piece of time. A day passes. Sarah carries the piece of paper in her pocket. She looks at it, puts it away, takes it out again. She doesn't know whether to call or not. On the second day, she decides. He dials a number. The phone rings. Then his voice. Sarah. She is surprised that he recognized her right away. Yes, it's me. You want to meet. Not a question, a statement. He knows. Yes, she says. I want to talk. Park, in an hour, by the fountain. And the call ends. Sarah looks at her phone. He didn't even ask if it was convenient for her. He just made an appointment. But she's still going to. An hour later, she's standing by the fountain in the Central Park. People are around, children, ice cream vendors. Ordinary life. He approaches from behind. She doesn't even hear his footsteps. She simply turns around, and he's already there. Alone. Unguarded. In a simple jacket and jeans. Looks completely different than in the restaurant or in that house. An ordinary man. Let's go, he says. They walk along the park path, silently. Sarah doesn't know where to start. There are too many questions. He speaks first. The weather is good. She looks at him. A serious man handing out suitcases of money, discussing the weather. Yes, she answers. It's sunny. Do you like the sun? I love. Me too. But I rarely see him. A simple conversation. About nothing. They walk, looking at the trees, at the people. He points to a bird on a branch. Says he doesn't know what it's called. Sarah smiles. The tension melts away. They walk for an hour. They just talk about trivial things. About what kind of coffee she likes. about the fact that he doesn't drink coffee at all, about how nice this park is in the fall, when the leaves are yellow. Sarah almost forgets who he is. Almost. They come out into an open space. There's a playground ahead. Children are shouting. A man approaches him. Sarah doesn't even notice where he came from. He just appears next to her. He's nondescript, wearing a gray jacket. He leans over and whispers something in Kanu's ear. Sarah sees his face change. Just for a second, his muscles tense, his eyes grow cold. He seems to turn to stone. His gaze shifts away. But this moment lasts. Then he turns to Sarah, and his face is calm again. Sorry, he says. Work matters. The man in gray disappears as quickly as he appeared. They continue walking. Can is talking about something, but Sarah is no longer listening. She has seen that face, the face of a man who makes difficult decisions, a face that shows no weakness. She remembers that she knows nothing about him. Who is he? What does he do? Why are his people like that? Why is everyone around him so quiet and afraid? She looks at his profile. He's calm again. But she already knows there's something else behind that calm. The walk ends. They return to the fountain. The sun is setting. The park is empty. I have to go, says Khan. Sarah nods. She doesn't know if they'll see each other again. She doesn't know if she wants to. He takes a small box out of his pocket and hands it to her. This is for you. Sarah opens it. Inside is a brooch, a cherry blossom branch, small, graceful. The petals are white metal. The branch is dark. Beautiful, she says. Wear it, he replies, and leaves. Sarah watches him go. Then she pins the brooch on his jacket right there by the fountain. At home, she takes off her jacket and hangs it in the closet. The brooch remains on it. In the morning, she remembers the gift. She goes to the closet, takes out her jacket, and examines the brooch in the daylight. And he notices. One petal is cracked. A small crack, almost unnoticeable. But it's there. Sarah touches it with her finger. The petal is still intact, but there's a crack, as if something inside is broken. She looks at the brooch and thinks, he gave it to her yesterday. Was it whole? Sarah doesn't remember. Maybe she didn't notice. Maybe there was a crack, but the strange feeling doesn't go away. The cracked petal feels like a sign. A warning. Sarah can't get that crack out of her head. She examines the brooch under a magnifying glass. The crack runs from the edge of the petal to the center. It's shallow but noticeable if you look closely. She Googles. Cherry blossom branch meaning. 1,000,000 links. Blooming, spring, beauty. Nothing special. She adds, a symbol of the clan. And he finds it. Old articles, forums, discussions. Some write about Asian families, about closed communities. A sakura branch is a symbol of loyalty. In some groups, it is given to those they trust. But there is a nuance. Sarah reads on. A cracked petal is a sign. A warning. It means trust is in question, or that the person wearing the brooch should be careful. She puts her phone down and looks at the brooch. He knew. He knew the petal was cracked. Why did he give it to him? Maybe this is a test? Will she see it or not? Will she understand or not? Sarah puts the brooch back on her jacket. Let it hang. She'll be watching. Several days pass. Sarah lives her normal life. She goes shopping, meets up with friends, and gets used to her new reality. The money is in her account, and she doesn't have to do anything. But the feeling that she is being watched does not go away. She looks around the street. She looks at the cars. She checks to see if there's anyone she knows in the crowd. One day, she goes into a coffee shop near her home. She gets a coffee and sits by the window. She drinks it and looks out onto the street. It's coming out in half an hour. It's starting to rain outside. A light, nasty rain. Sarah doesn't want to get wet, but it's still a 10-minute walk home. She notices the car. The black sedan is parked at the curb. She saw it when she went into the coffee shop. It was there then. It's there now. The engine is running. Sarah walks faster. The car starts moving. It drives very slowly, almost alongside her. Sarah turns into an alley between houses. It's narrow. A car can't fit through it, but she hears the car stop at the entrance to the alley. The door slams. Footsteps. Sarah freezes, her heart pounding. A man enters the alley. He is of average height, wearing ordinary clothes. He is holding an umbrella. He walks up to Sarah and hands her an umbrella. Take it, he says. It's starting to rain. Sarah looks at the umbrella, then at the man. Who are you? She asks. I'm just passing it on. From him. She understands. From Khan. The man waits. Sarah takes the umbrella. The man nods, turns, and leaves. Sarah stands in an alleyway with an umbrella in her hands. The rain intensifies. She opens the umbrella and walks home. The umbrella is expensive and heavy. There's an engraving on the handle, a small sakura branch. Sarah squeezes her pen and smiles. The fear fades. Only a strange warmth remains. He watches her. He knows where she is. He cares. But the questions only increase. Sarah sleeps soundly. She dreams of something calm, the sea, or a park, or simply emptiness. More precisely, she doesn't remember when she wakes up to a sharp sound. The phone vibrates on the nightstand. Sarah gropes in the darkness and finds it. The screen is bright, stinging her eyes. She looks at the time, 3 in the morning. There's a name on the screen. Can. She accepts the challenge. Listen to me carefully, his voice says. He speaks quickly. Not like usual. There's a tension in his voice she's never heard before. Don't open the door to anyone until the morning. No one. No matter who they say they are. Understood? Sarah sits up in bed. Her heart starts beating faster. What happened? She asks in a whisper. Just do as I say. In the background, she hears voices. Several people are talking at once, but the words are indistinct. There's some noise, movement, then a sharp sound, like a blow. Con? She calls. Sit still, he says. I'll call. Beeps. Sarah sits in the dark with her phone in her hand, staring at the screen until it goes dark. Then he turns on the light. She gets up and goes to the door. She checks the lock. It's locked. The chain. She slides the chain back. Then she goes to the window. The curtains are drawn tightly, but she checks the frame is closed. Everything is closed. Sarah sits down on the sofa in the living room. She doesn't lie down. She listens. The house is quiet. Only the clock ticks in the kitchen. The occasional car drives past the window. She sits and looks at the door. Half an hour passes. An hour. She doesn't know what happened. She doesn't know where he is. She doesn't know if he's in danger, or if perhaps she's in danger. Her thoughts are jumbled. She remembers his face when they whispered something to him in the park. She remembers the cracked brooch. She remembers the man with the umbrella. Who is he? What did she get herself into? Sarah doesn't go to bed until the morning. She sits and waits. Dawn begins slowly. At first, the darkness outside the window turns gray. Then, the first rays of light appear. Sarah watches as light fills the room. She hasn't slept a minute. At 6 in the morning, there was a quiet knock on the door. Sarah jumps up. She goes to the door and looks through the peephole. Khan is standing on the stairwell. She opens it. First the chain, then the lock. He enters, silently, closes the door behind him, and leans his back against it. He stands there with his eyes closed. Sarah looks at him. He looks tired. Not like a man after a sleepless night. Different. Deeper. There are shadows under his eyes. His face is pale. His clothes are the same as yesterday, only wrinkled. There's a stain on his shirt that wasn't there before. How are you? She asks quietly. He opens his eyes. He looks at her. Do you have coffee? Yes. Go to the kitchen. He walks into the small kitchen and sits down at the table. Sarah turns on the coffee machine. While the coffee brews, she watches him. He sits motionless, staring at a spot on the wall. She places a cup in front of him. He takes it with both hands, warming his palms. He drinks slowly, in small sips. The silence lasts a long time. But it's not an awkward silence. It's calm. Sarah sits down across from me with her own cup, and also drinks coffee. The city is waking up outside. You can hear cars and voices. But here, in the small kitchen, it's quiet. Sarah watches him drink his coffee. A simple movement, ordinary. But somehow it feels the most intimate thing that has happened between them. He came to her, not to his big house, not to his people, to her. She doesn't know what happened last night. She doesn't ask. She just sits next to me. He finishes his coffee and puts the cup on the table. Thank you, he says. Please, pause. You didn't ask what happened, he says. You will tell me if you want. He looks at her for a long time, studyingly. Then he nods. Don't tell anyone about this night. That I was here. That I called. Don't tell anyone at all. Sarah nods. Fine. You don't even ask why? If necessary, tell me. He falls silent again. Then his face changes. The tension eases a little. He looks at her with gratitude. Not feigned, but genuine. He reaches across the table and touches her hand, lightly, with his fingertips, just for a second. Thank you, he says quietly, and removes his hand. Sarah feels warmth where he touched her. Just a simple touch, and something in her chest tightens. She realizes at that moment that she can't just leave. Something has connected them. Not money, not chance. Something else. He stands up. I have to go. You should eat something, she says. Another time, he walks toward the door, stops and turns around. I'll call. And he leaves. Sarah is left alone in the kitchen. She looks at his empty cup. She touches the spot on her hand where he touched her. Sarah is washing the dishes. She takes his cup and scrubs it with a sponge. Then she notices a small scrap of paper on the table. It looks like the corner of an envelope or a check. It must have fallen out of his pocket when he sat down. She takes the piece of paper to throw it away, but it stops. There's a name written on the paper, a woman's name, and an address. Sarah looks at these words. The name is unfamiliar. The address is in another part of the city. She doesn't know what it is. Maybe it's just a note. Maybe it's one of his people. Maybe it's work. But thoughts keep creeping into my head. A woman's name. Why does he need a woman's name and address? She stands in the middle of the kitchen with this piece of paper in her hand and doesn't know what to feel. Jealousy? Anxiety? Just curiosity? She puts the piece of paper on the table. Then she puts it in a drawer. She doesn't throw it away. She thinks about this name all day. She searches online, but finds nothing. Just an ordinary name. Maybe hundreds of women with that name. But the address, the specific address, Sarah decides she won't dwell on it. It's his business. She has no right to interfere, but the piece of paper lies in the drawer, and the thoughts won't go away. 3 days later, he calls. Go outside, he says. Sarah comes out. There's a small car parked near the entrance. Silver, neat. Can is parked next to it. These are for you, he says, and hands over the keys. Sarah looks at the keys, at the car. For what? To avoid dependence on taxis, and on random people. She takes the keys. She smiles. Thank you. He nods. Let's go. Show me how you drive. Sarah gets behind the wheel. He's next to her. They drive around the city, just driving. He's silent. She's a little nervous, but quickly gets used to it. Then he asks to be dropped off in the center and leaves to do some business. Sarah returns home alone. She parks her car in the courtyard. She sits inside, looking at everything. Nice car. Clean, smells new. She opens the glove compartment. There are documents, instructions, and some other things. Lighter, metal, heavy, expensive, engraved on the side, a name. The same woman's name that was on the piece of paper. Sarah looks at the lighter. She turns it over in her hands. She doesn't smoke. He doesn't smoke, I don't think. Why is there a lighter with a woman's name in the car? The car is new. He said it was a gift, but the lighter is someone else's. Sarah puts it back in the glove compartment, closes it. I have an unpleasant feeling inside. It's like I've found something I shouldn't have. Sarah hasn't touched the glove compartment for several days, but I can't get the lighter out of my head. And that name. One day, she opens the car's paperwork again. She just looks. There's an address listed there for some office. Apparently, the place where the car was registered. She Googles the address. A typical office building on the outskirts. Nothing special, but curiosity has already taken hold. It's gnawing at me from the inside. On her day off, Sarah gets into her car and drives to this address. The office center is located in an industrial zone, surrounded by warehouses, garages, and vacant lots. There are few cars and almost no people. She finds a building, 5 stories old. On the ground floor, there are some shops, and above that are offices. Sarah sits in the car and watches. She doesn't know why she came. What does she want to see? Then he hears a noise. Screams come from the second-floor windows. Loud, angry. The sounds of impacts. Something falls, breaks. Sarah freezes. A fight. A real fight. She looks at the windows. Shadows flicker there. The screams don't stop. Sarah doesn't know what to do. Leave? Call the police? Call him? She looks at the building and sees the door swing open. A man flies out of there. Literally flies out, falls onto the asphalt, rolls, jumps up, and runs. 2 more people run out after him. Sarah starts the car. She wants to leave, but he sees him. Can comes out of the same door. He walks quickly toward the car where Sarah is sitting. His face is angry, focused. He comes up, opens the door, looks at her. What the hell are you doing here? The voice was harsh. She had never heard anything like it. She opens her mouth to explain, but he's already pulling her by the hand, pulling her out of the car. Let's leave, he says. He shields her with his body and leads her around the corner of the building. Sarah hears shouts and stomping behind her. They enter some passage between houses and walk quickly. Then they stop. Khan presses her against the wall, standing in front of her, blocking her. He looks in the direction they came from. Sarah looks at his face. It's angry, so angry. She's never seen him express such emotion before. Why did you come? He asked quietly. I don't know. I just wanted what? To see? To check? There was a lighter in the car and a name. He closes his eyes for a second, then opens them. Later, he says. First, we'll get out. They leave the industrial zone on foot. Can leads her through some courtyards and alleys. Half an hour later, they emerge onto a normal street. They hail a taxi. In the car, both are silent. Khan tells her the address of her house. He stares out the window the whole way. He doesn't say a word. They get out at her entrance and stand on the sidewalk. Do you understand what could have happened? He asks. The voice is tired, but harsh. I just wanted to understand, Sarah says. Who are you? What do you do? What's that name? What's that lighter? It's none of your business. What's mine? Taking money, mine. Accepting gifts, mine. But knowing the truth, not mine. You don't understand what you're getting into. So explain. He is silent. Sarah feels anger rising inside her. You appear, disappear. Give me suitcases, then follow me. Then come at night. Then give me a car. And I'm supposed to just sit and wait? Not know anything? Yes, he says. It must. She looks at him. There's no anger in his eyes. Only weariness and something akin to fear. But for whom? For her? I can't do this, she says quietly. He doesn't answer. He simply gets into the taxi that's been waiting all this time. He closes the door. The car drives away. Sarah stands alone at the entrance. She watches them go. The feeling of emptiness inside is so strong that you want to sit down on the asphalt and not get up. A day passes. Then another one. Can doesn't call, doesn't write. No news. Sarah paces the apartment, restless. She's angry at him, at herself, at the whole situation. She thinks about calling first. She dials the number, but doesn't press call. She puts the phone down. Pride says, "Don't you dare!" He left. He should be the first. Fear says, what if something happened to him? Love? She doesn't know if it's love, but there is something. There definitely is. The third night passes. Sarah doesn't sleep. The fourth, she barely eats. A friend calls and asks how things are. Sarah says everything is fine. She's lying. On the fifth day, she decides, I'll call. But she doesn't. Sixth, she takes out a brooch with a cracked petal. She looks at it for a long time. Then she pins it to her jacket. Seventh day. In the morning, the doorbell rang. Sarah opens the door. Courier. A huge bouquet of white flowers. Sarah? He asks. Sign. She signs, takes the bouquet, closes the door. The flowers are beautiful. White chrysanthemums. There are a lot of them. A whole bunch. The scent is fresh, slightly bitter. She searches for the note. She sorts through the stems, looks into the packaging. Nothing. Not a single line. But she knows. From whom? Sarah puts the flowers in a vase. She sits down next to them and looks at them. Chrysanthemums. She remembers reading about them. In his culture, they mean something. Honesty, perhaps. Or truth. Or an apology. She takes the phone, looks at the screen, waits. An hour passes. 2. The whole day. A message arrives in the evening. I'm here. Will you come out? Sarah looks at her phone, her heart pounding. She writes one word. Yes. She goes out into the yard. His car is parked at the curb. He's inside, behind the wheel. He opens the door. Sarah sits down next to them. They are silent. Then he starts the car, drives a little further, to a quiet side street. He turns off the engine. You got flowers, he says. Yes. Do you know what they mean? I think I know. He nods. He looks ahead into the darkness. I can't tell you everything, he says, but I'll tell you the main thing. Sarah is waiting. My business is dangerous. Not because I'm bad, because a lot of people want the same thing as me. And they don't play by the rules. Do you play by the rules? I'm trying. Pause. That name, that address, the lighter. It's the past, which no longer exists. I can't explain it in detail. Just trust me. Sarah looks at his profile. Why should I believe? He turns to her. Because if I wanted to deceive you, I wouldn't have come at night. I wouldn't have sat in your kitchen. I wouldn't have been afraid for you. The word afraid cuts the air. Are you afraid? She asks. For you, yes. She is silent, digesting. You can leave, he says. Right now. The money is yours. I won't touch it. Just disappear from my life and that's it. You'll be safe. And you? And I will know that everything is okay with you. Sarah looks at him. In the dim light of the car, his face seems softer, tired but calm. I don't want to leave, she says. He looks at her for a long time. Do you understand what you're saying? Understand. This isn't a game. This is life. My life. It can be scary and dangerous. I've already seen it. It was a little. It could be worse, Sarah thinks. About that night. About the fight in the office. About his face as he shielded her with his body. Then about his hand on hers. About coffee in the kitchen. About an umbrella in the rain. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, she says, but today I want to be here. With you. He's silent. Then his face changes. The tension disappears. His lips lift slightly. He smiles. For the first time so openly. Not politely, not reservedly. For real. Sarah looks at that smile and sees him differently. Not a boss. Not a mysterious man. Just a man. Who is also afraid. Who also doubts. Who also wants to be with her. Okay? He says quietly. And takes her hand. The next evening, they cook dinner together. At his home. In that same big house behind the gates. But now it doesn't seem strange or scary. Because it's nearby. They're in the kitchen. It's huge, bright, and filled with appliances Sarah has never seen before. But they're frying ordinary meat and chopping vegetables. Just like ordinary people. He shows her how to chop an onion properly. She laughs because he's better at it. He pretends to be offended. They eat at a small table in the kitchen. Not in the huge dining room. They chat about all sorts of nonsense. About how delicious the food is. About how he can't cook rice. About how she loves sweets. Then he takes his phone and shows the photos. There are pictures of nature, mountains, the sea, places he's been to. Scrolls through. Stops at one photo. Sarah is watching. This is a brooch. The very same one. A sakura branch. Close up. The petals are intact. Not a single crack. She brings the phone closer and looks at it carefully. Is this the brooch? She asks. Yes. But mine has a crack. He nods. I know. The brooch you have is different. It's old. It once belonged to my mother. The crack appeared a long time ago. Why did you give it to me? Because I want you to know. Everything has cracks. Me too. But that doesn't mean it's not valuable. Sarah is silent. She looks at the photo of the intact brooch. Then she remembers hers, with the crack. I understand, she says quietly. Sarah wakes up from the light. The sun rises outside the window. The room is flooded with golden light. It's a strange room, but it doesn't feel so strange anymore. She turns her head. He's sleeping next to me. His face is calm, relaxed, without the usual tension. An ordinary person, just sleeping. Sarah looks at him for a long time, memorizing every feature. Then he reaches for the phone on the nightstand. He wants to photograph this moment. The sun, his face, the silence. She picks up her phone. A notification pops up on the screen. Newsfeed. A major businessman has been arrested. Sarah can't see the name. The screen is too bright. The letters are blurry. She holds it closer, squinting. There is traffic nearby. He opens his eyes, looks at her. Woke up. Good morning, he says quietly. Sarah looks at him, then at the phone screen, then back at him. He sees her face. He understands that something is wrong. He sits up on the bed. What's happened? Sarah is silent. She just looks at him. The sun rises outside. A new day begins. Their first day together. And at the same time, a day when everything could change. Suitcases full of money were just the beginning. The real story begins now. Sarah looks at him and doesn't know what to say. The phone in her hand grows heavier with each passing second. She glances at the screen, but the notification has already disappeared. Only the newsline, where the word flashed. Arrested. Khan sits up in bed. The sun falls on his back, illuminating the room. He looks at Sarah intently. Show me, he says calmly. She hands him the phone. He takes it and looks at the screen. He scrolls through the news. His face doesn't change. Then he gives the phone back. It's not me, he says. Sarah exhales. The air comes out noisily. She didn't even notice she was holding it. You are sure? Yes. I know who you're talking about. A different person, a different story. He gets up and goes to the window. He stands with his back to her, looking out at the street. But this is just the beginning, he says quietly. There will be more news. Sarah sits up and wraps herself in a blanket. The morning is no longer calm. What do you mean? He turns around. A lot of people want this place. There will be fights. Informational, not just physical. They might try to. Me too. He's not finishing the sentence. Sarah stands up and walks over to him. She stands next to him and also looks out the window. Outside, the glass is a garden, trees, and the city is visible in the distance. What should we do? She asks. He looks at her. Something changes in his eyes. She said, us, not you, not me, us. Breakfast, he says. First breakfast, then think. They go down to the kitchen. The same huge kitchen where they cooked dinner yesterday. Now it's bathed in morning light. Khan turns on the coffee machine, takes out bread and eggs. You know how to cook breakfast? Sarah asks, surprised. I can do a lot. I just don't show it. She sits down at the table and watches him move around the kitchen. Confidently, calmly. He breaks eggs, cuts bread, does everything carefully. Do you have someone who helps around the house? Sarah asks. Yes, but I asked you not to come today. Why? He turns to her. Because you are here. A simple answer. No smile, no subtext. Just a fact. Sarah feels warm inside. He places a plate in front of her. Scrambled eggs, toast, greens, coffee in a large cup. It looks delicious, she says. Eat. They eat breakfast in silence. But it's a different silence. Comfortable. As if it's always been this way. Then Khan looks at his watch. I need to go away for a couple of hours, he says. You can stay here, or I'll take you home. Sarah is thinking. I'll stay, she says. He nods. He stands up and walks over to her. He leans down and kisses her lightly on the top of her head. I'll be there soon. And he leaves. Sarah sits alone in the huge kitchen, drinking coffee and smiling. Sarah is left alone. She washes the dishes and clears the table. Then she walks around the house. Not out of curiosity, but simply to get a better look at the place where he lives. The house is big, very big. A living room with a fireplace, a library with books in different languages, rooms that are locked. She doesn't go into locked rooms. She stops at the library. She looks at the spines of the books. Many are in Korean, some in English. Philosophy, history, business. No novels. There's a photograph on the table. An old one, in a frame. It's of a young woman with a child. The woman is beautiful, with sad eyes. The child is about 3 years old, looking seriously at the camera. Sarah recognizes those eyes. It's Can, as a child. She looks at the woman. His mother? Sister? He doesn't know. Leaves the photo in place. Exits the library. He goes into the room where they slept. He sits on the bed. He looks out the window. Thoughts are calm. For the first time in a long time. She doesn't know what will happen next. But now, here, she feels good. 2 hours later, he hears the front door opening. I'm back, said Can's voice from the hallway. I'm here, Sarah responds. He walks into the bedroom. His face is serious. Did something happen? Sarah asks. We need to talk. They go down to the living room and sit on the sofa. Khan takes out his phone and shows her the screen. A news article. The arrest of that same businessman. Photos. Details. This is the man I did business with, says Khan. Good business. Honest business. So what now? Now his place is empty. Many will want to take it. I will be checked. My accounts, my connections. You may be checked too. Me? For what? You came into my life recently. You got money. A lot of it. This will raise questions. Sarah is silent. She hadn't thought about it. What should I do? Nothing special. Just be careful. Keep a low profile. Don't attract attention. What if they ask about money? Tell the truth, that you got a tip, for your courage. He almost smiles. Sarah looks at him. Aren't you afraid? She asks. I'm afraid. But not for myself. For you. He takes her hand. I don't want you to suffer because of me. I won't get hurt, Sarah says. I'm close. In the evening, Khan takes Sarah home. She doesn't want to leave, but she understands that she has to. She needs to think. He needs to work. They are standing at her entrance. Call me when you're home, he says. I'll be there right now. Call anyway. She smiles. He's caring. In his own way, but caring. Fine. She enters the building, goes up to her apartment, and immediately writes, I'm home. The answer comes instantly. Good night. Sarah lies down on the sofa. She looks at the ceiling. The day had been long. Morning in his house, news, conversations. The whole world had turned upside down, but inside it is calm. She falls asleep quickly, without anxiety, for the first time in a long time. The next morning, Linda calls. An old friend with whom Sarah worked at the restaurant. Sarah, hi! It's been a while. You've been missing for a while. Let's meet up? Sarah hesitates. She doesn't know if this is okay, but then she thinks, she's just a friend. Nothing dangerous. Go ahead. Where? They agree to meet in a cafe in the center. An hour later, Sarah is already sitting at the table. Linda is late, as always. Sarah orders coffee. Linda flies in 10 minutes later, loud and bright. She hugs Sarah and sits down opposite her. Come on, tell me. Where are you? What are you doing? I heard you quit. They say someone left you a ton of money. Is that true? Sarah smiles. Word has already spread. Something like that. Holy shit. Who is he? Handsome? Rich? Tell me. Linda was always curious. Too curious. Sarah tells the general story. She met a man, he helped her, and now everything is fine. No names, no details. Linda listens, nods, asks questions. Sarah avoids answering. Then Linda says, Have you seen the news? About that businessman? They say he'll go to jail for a long time. Sarah freezes. I saw it, she says cautiously. My friend says this is just the beginning. There's a whole gang there. They'll all be in jail soon. Sarah looks at her friend. How does your friend know? Linda shrugs. He works in security. He heard something. Sarah finishes her coffee and says goodbye. She needs to go home. To think. At home, Sarah searches the internet for news. He reads everything about the arrest. Comments, articles, analysis. They write a lot. Some talk about crime. Some about business. Some about politics. One name keeps coming up. Chong. The man rumored to be taking the man's place. Sarah remembers the name. She writes to Khan. Do you know Chan? The answer comes a minute later. I know. Why are you asking? I'm reading the news. They're saying he might take the position. A pause. Then a ring. Don't get involved, says Khan. Just don't read it. I'm worried. I know, but it's for the best. Chan is a dangerous man. Not for me, for everyone. The less you know about him, the safer you are. Sarah is silent. Promise me, he says. Don't look for information. Don't pry. I promise, Sarah says. She puts the phone down and looks at the wall. She promised to promise, but the thoughts won't go away. 2 days later, Sarah is sitting at home. The doorbell rings. She looks through the peephole. A man in a suit. A stranger. Who's there? She asks. Miss Sarah? My name is Kim. I'm a colleague of Mr. Kang's. He asked me to pass something on to you. Sarah hesitated. Kan said nothing. How do I know that you are from him? The man smiles. He said you'd ask. Tell him the cracked brooch is the most valuable. Sarah opens the door. A man comes in. He takes an envelope out of his briefcase. Here are some documents. Mr. Khan asked me to give them to you for signature. They concern your safety. Sarah takes the envelope. She opens it. There are papers in there. Lots of them. She doesn't understand half of it. What is this? Legal protection. If anything happens, these documents will guarantee you won't be harmed. If something happens to whom? The man looks at her. With Mr. Kan, or with you? Sarah freezes. Could something happen to him? Anything can happen. We're just preparing. He holds out his pen. Sign here, here, and here. Sarah signs. Her hands are shaking slightly. The man takes the papers, says goodbye and leaves. Sarah sits down on the sofa. Her heart is pounding. Kan arrives in the evening. Sarah greets him tensely. Your man came to see me, with papers. Kan nods. I know, it's necessary. What's going on? You told me everything was under control. Everything is under control. But control doesn't mean nothing will happen. It just means I'm prepared for anything. Sarah looks at him. Who is Chan? Khan sighs and sits down. Chan is someone we used to work with. Now he wants to work alone. He's not happy with having someone else around. Have you met him? Today. There were conversations. And what? Khan is silent. Then he says, he suggested that I leave. Leave the country. Start all over again somewhere else. Sarah feels a chill run down her spine. And you? I refused. She exhales. Why? He looks at her for a long time. Because you are here. The following days pass quietly. Too quiet. Kan comes every evening. They dine together, watch TV, and talk. He talks about his childhood, his family. She talks about the restaurant, the silly customers, her dreams. Normal life, but Sarah feels something in the air. Khan started checking his phone more often, responding to messages quickly. Sometimes he goes out onto the balcony to talk. She doesn't ask. She waits. One night he wakes up. He sits on his bed, staring into the darkness. What happened? Sarah whispers. It's okay. Sleep. But she senses his tension. He lies next to her, awake. He leaves early in the morning. Leaves a note. Be home today. I'll call. Sarah looks at the note and feels uneasy. The day drags on endlessly. Sarah doesn't leave the house. She sits by the window, looking out onto the street. She checks her phone every 5 minutes. No calls, no messages. She writes, "How are you?" The answer comes an hour later. "Busy, everything is fine." Short, too short. She doesn't believe everything is okay. But what can she do? In the evening, he turns on the TV. The news. Again about the arrest. Again about Sean. They say he's expanding his influence. That new appointments will be coming soon. Sarah turns off the TV. The phone rang at 10 in the evening. "Come out," says Khan. "I'm downstairs." She runs downstairs. He's standing by the car, tired, but whole. She hugs him right there on the street, tightly. "I was worried," she says into his shoulder. "I know. I'm sorry." In the car, Khan says, "You can't stay here." Sarah looks at him. "Why?" "Because they might find you here. I don't want to take any risks." "Where should I go?" "To my place, to the house. There's security there. It's safe, at least for a while." Sarah is silent. Her apartment, her things, her little world. "For how long?" she asks. "I don't know. Until everything calms down," she thinks. Then she nods. "Fine." They go up to the apartment. Sarah quickly packs her things, the most necessary ones. She leaves the rest, looks at the room for the last time. "Let's go." She closes the door and doesn't know when she will return. They arrive at Khan's house late at night. It's quiet inside. Security is on. The light is on only in the hallway. Khan leads her to the bedroom. "This is your room now." "Ours." Sarah smiles. "Yours too?" "Mine too." She puts her bag down and sits down on the bed. "What will happen tomorrow?" "Tomorrow will be tomorrow. Today, we will sleep." He lies down next to her. He hugs her. Sarah closes her eyes. The house is big, alien, but it's close. And that's the main thing. In the morning, Sarah wakes up alone. The sun is shining brightly. There is a garden outside the window. Silence. She gets up and goes down to the kitchen. Someone is already there. A middle-aged woman is preparing breakfast. "Good morning," the woman says with a smile. "I'm me okay, the housekeeper. Mr. Kang asked me to take care of you." "Good morning." "Where is he?" "He left early. He asked me to tell you he'll be back for lunch." Sarah sits down at the table. Mioke places coffee, toast, and fruit in front of her. "Do you need anything else?" "No, thank you." Sarah eats and looks out the window. It's strange. She's never lived in a house like this, with servants, with security. But now it doesn't seem like a luxury. It seems like a necessity. After breakfast, she goes for a walk in the garden. It's large and well kept. There are paths, benches, a pond. She sits down on a bench by the pond and looks at the water. Thoughts are calm, quiet. Then he hears footsteps. He turns around. An elderly man approaches her. Dressed simply but neatly, he stops next to her. Are you Sarah?" he asks. "Yes, I am Khan's father." Sarah stands up. She doesn't know what to say. The man looks at her attentively. Then he nods. "He told me about you. Nice to meet you." He sits down on the bench next to her and gestures for her to sit down. "Shall we talk?" he asks. Sarah sits down. "Certainly." Father Khan is silent for a long time. He looks at the pond. "My son rarely brings anyone to this house," he says finally. "You're the first." Sarah doesn't know what to answer. "He's a good man," the father continues. "His work sometimes doesn't look so good, but he's a good man." "I know. Do you know what he does?" "Approximately." "And you're not afraid?" Sarah is thinking. "I'm afraid, but I'm more afraid of losing him." Her father looks at her. There is something warm in his eyes. "I was afraid of losing his mother, too. I was afraid my whole life, and I lost her." Sarah is silent. "But the years we spent together were worth that fear. Do you understand?" "I think so." Father nods and stands up. "I'm glad you're here. Take care of him. He's leaving." Sarah remains on the bench, looking at the pond.